Yo, what's going on, man? Today is March the 5th, 2024. It's your boy Chris, and this is the ChrisBeCappinn NBA show. I'm live on Twitter, also live on YouTube as well. First thing I want to say is I know I tweeted out last night I had some lower back tightness, and people thought it was probably funny the way I tweeted it out, but I did pop my sacrum out of place yesterday, so I am having some lower back pain. Like, on all seriousness, my back is on fire. So I got it popped back in place yesterday, but it was the reason why we didn't do a show yesterday. Why I didn't do a show yesterday evening. I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to do a show this evening. I capped the games from the bed last night, and this is my first time sitting down this morning, to put everything together. But we'll pull through it. We'll pull through it like we always do. So live at 5 p.m. Eastern. We'll see. To be determined again. But did handicap the games. Wanted to give you guys some early looks that I was looking at. Of course, the links to all my official plays are in the description, and the promo code for OddsJam is also there as well. My favorite sports betting tool. So you guys trying to get ahead of the number. Find the best number. Always check out OddsJam. And as always, if you guys are following in on Twitter, check me out on YouTube or X, and then vice versa as well. Go jump straight into it today. Yesterday, 1-1 day. Man, it was a terrible loss yesterday as well with the Washington Wizards. They got outscored 25-14 in the fourth quarter against the Utah Jazz team that were probably without, really good defenders. Looked like they were going to win the game outright, and then they just can't score in the fourth quarter. This is probably the worst loss I've had in quite a while. They lose the game by double digits. And then we did cash with the Clippers and the Bucks. I told you guys whether Giannis played or not. I thought that one was going to go under, and it ended up going under the closing total as well. Total had dropped all the way down to 222.5, but always good to get some CLV. So 2 CLV plays, we go 1-1 on them. We lose a little bit of juice, just a 15th of a unit. Hopefully we can get that back today. Had a couple other looks that I probably should have got there with, but didn't play. Bulls won outright yesterday, and that Bucks and the Clippers team total also went under as well. But we'll jump right into it for today, man. Hit the like button for me if you can. If you guys are new to the show, subscribe and check me out. Like I said, on Twitter, if you're watching it on YouTube, and vice versa. And share the show as well. Always good to share the show. Appreciate all the positive energy and all the positive vibes. A lot of people telling me to get well soon yesterday. So we're just going to push through, man. We're going to push through like we always do. So first game up, we got the Orlando Magic. They will be in Charlotte today, taking on the Charlotte Hornets team. Charlotte has we were making some money with Charlotte, and we did cash with them, right before actually on Sunday. It was Sunday when they were in Toronto. Now they come back home getting 8.5 points. This line actually was at 209 and opened, I think, with Orlando. The 8.5 has stayed pretty consistent, but the total has dropped from 209.5 down to 207.5. And I was looking at this one yesterday. First thing that jumped out to me was Charlotte team total, maybe going towards the under. For people who aren't keeping track, these totals are flying under since the All-Star break. I looked at it earlier this morning again. 63, 28, and 2 to the under are games since the All-Star break. So it's been 93 games since the All-Star break this season, and 63 of those 90 have gone under the total. That's 60.2% have gone under the total. So I immediately look towards the Charlotte team total under, just because, this Orlando Magic have been playing some stifling defense, and they play really, really well against bottom tier teams as well. I got Orlando at 16-2 straight up, 15-3 against the spread when they're playing a team that has a 40% win percentage or less this season. They've covered 5 of their last 6 in this spot as well. This is the first leg of a back-to-back for Orlando, but they play against the Wizards tomorrow, so no look-ahead spot at all. Charlotte, I was just looking at Charlotte, and they really struggled to score the basketball in their last few games. Now, they had those really, really difficult games against the Bucks, a couple of those games, but since the All-Star break, they're 6-1 to the under. I think the Magic 5-1. So the Magic are 5-1 to the under since the All-Star break. They've actually held 5 of their 6 opponents under their team total, and opponents are only averaging just 101 points per game against the Magic since the All-Star break. Charlotte also 6-1 to the under since the All-Star break. They only averaging 99 points per game, and they've actually been held under their team total in 5 of their last 7 as well. Both of these teams are bottom 8 in pace post All-Star break. Orlando third best in defensive rating, and Charlotte actually the second worst in offensive rating. So all of that to me kind of seems like a Charlotte team total under. I just kind of get concerned when these totals get this low. I think this total was like Charlotte team total specifically was like 101.5. I mean, that's literally asking the team just to go out here and score 25 points per quarter. Now, like I said, Orlando hasn't been giving that up, but sometimes because the pace of play in the NBA, and granted, neither one of these teams play fast, it just kind of scared me off just a tad bit. So I would agree with the under. Like I said, 207.5. The books are trying to get their money back. They're not going to just keep letting sports bettors, continuously bet unders and think that this trend is going to keep going until it's 70% the whole rest of the season. So there are going to be some overs that start to hit, and this potentially could be one. So I stayed away from this one, but Charlotte team total under when it opened was probably the best look in my opinion. No play for me on this game though. We'll keep it pushing because there's a big slate today. I'll check the comments out after. Oh, I actually skipped over all the games. I'll check the comments out after I get through with the entirety of the slate, just because, like I said, my back is kind of killing me right now. So next game up, Celtics. This line actually opened at 6.5. Celtics land 6.5 on the road in Cleveland. Total opened at 218.5. We see the money come in on the under. Another game. All the totals have been bet down today. Pretty much every single one of them. 218. It opened at down to 217, as you guys see on the board right now. And the spreads moved from 6.5 to 8. Now, this one was difficult. I wanted to pull the trigger with Cleveland. And I mean, it's really the only way I could play. This Cleveland Cavaliers team has been absolutely balling since the All-Star break. And I don't know if they slow up in this spot. They will be, both of these teams will be a little shorthanded. Boston, potentially shorthanded. Boston listed Jaylen Brown and Porzingis, who missed the last game on Sunday against the Golden State Warriors, as questionable in this spot. Donovan Mitchell and Strus are going to be out for the Cleveland Cavaliers as well. They have Isaac Okoro and Karis LeVert listed as questionable. So this Cleveland team, man, probably taking a step back right now. They've been one of the worst ATS teams since the All-Star break. I was looking into that just a little bit earlier as well. I got Cleveland at what are they? 1-6, I want to say. Yeah, 1-6. Worst team against the spread since the All-Star break. I looked into Donovan Mitchell being on the floor as well. They're actually a minus 3.2 without Donovan Mitchell on the floor this season, whereas they're a plus 9.9, so almost a plus 10 with Donovan Mitchell on the floor. That's a 13-point swing there. They're actually a minus 2.8 without Donovan Mitchell and Max Strus on the floor, and the defense really takes a big hit. They're allowing 102.2 points per 100 possessions without Donovan Mitchell and Max Strus on the floor. I thought that was something to note. Like I said, Boston absolutely on fire. 6-3-1 against the spread in their last 10. 5-0 straight up and against the spread since the All-Star break. They're plus 26 in point differential. Although they do have a big look-ahead game against the Denver Nuggets on deck. But this Boston team, man, the games that they've won since the All-Star break have almost been comical. They beat the Golden State Warriors by 52 on Sunday. They have a 28-point win, an 18-point win, a 14-point win, and a 17-point win. So all of these wins, by far bigger than the margin that we see the spread at today. Cleveland just 2-8 against the spread in their last 10 games, 1-6 against the spread since the All-Star break, like I kind of said already. This is a double revenge spot for Cleveland. Of course, they're coming off the home loss against the New York Knicks on Sunday as well. It's the first leg of a back-to-back. They actually play in Atlanta tomorrow as well. In Boston, like I said, look at his spot. They actually play Denver on Thursday. And Denver, if we remember back to the earlier game between the Denver Nuggets and the Boston Celtics, Denver did give Boston their first home loss of the season this year. So that's a game I'm already looking towards the game. I can't wait for the total to come out. I'll probably be towards the under. Interested to see what the first total opened at 234 in that game, and I think it was just barely over 200 points scored. So that's be a game I'm definitely going to be on the under end as long as we get full healthy rosters in that spot. But for this game, I'm the only thing that jumps out to me is Cleveland team total under. I think looking at Cleveland, if Jaylen Brown and Porzingis play, I just think Boston. I don't think that I think this is going to be a difficult game for Cleveland to score without Strus and without Mitchell on the floor. It'll be a lot of, depending on if Karis LeVert plays, he's also listed as questionable. It'll be a lot of, Sam Merrill and, Darius Garland. But I just don't – I think Cleveland really struggles to score. I agree with the total dropping in this one. And I think I didn't play the 6.5 just because I want to see the status of Jaylen Brown and Porzingis in. Like I said, it's a big look ahead spot for Boston when they travel to Denver on Thursday. So those are my thoughts in this one, and we'll keep it pushing. Cleveland does not look like a buy on team right now, though. I think that's safe to say. Next game up, I do got a very strong lean. I didn't play this one quite yet, but looking at this, the Pelicans will be in Toronto, and this line, I said, damn, this line is a little high at 7.5 last night. It's actually up to 9.5 on some books as well, and the total is starting to finally drop. Not really. 229 is what it opened at. 229. It's down to 228.5 on some books. I think that this is a difficult game to handicap as far as the total concerned, because you got a Pelicans team that's been playing really good defense, but a Toronto team that really hasn't been able to guard anybody. Toronto is going to be extremely short-handed. Jakob Poeltl already being ruled out. Bruce Brown also ruled out yesterday, and Scotty Barnes, who broke his hand. All three of those guys are going to be out. The Pels also have a major rest advantage in this spot. 3 days of rest compared to just one for the Toronto Raptors. Toronto did get a win against the Charlotte Hornets, but they didn't cover that game. And this is the last game of a 4-game homestand for them. They've actually failed to cover all three. 0-3 against the spread in their last 3 are the Toronto Raptors. Just 3-3 straight up and against the spread after the All-Star break as well. They're actually 5-1 to the under. I'm sorry, the Pelicans are 3-3 straight up after the All-Star break. They're 5-1 to the under, only allowing 107 points per game. They've actually held 4 of their 6 opponents under their team total. And I think that Toronto, they like to get out and run. If the Pelicans can limit that, I think I like this Toronto. I'm not interested in the spread. I think the spread is a tad bit too high, but I do think it's a game where the Pelicans can limit this Toronto's offense. I just worry about Toronto being able to score without Scotty Barnes being there, and we saw this, right? That game against Charlotte went really low under the total, and the Pels have been kind of focusing in on their defense as well. Toronto just a 104.6 points per 100 possessions scored without all of the guys that are going to be missing. So I went through and looked at this last night without Bruce Brown, without Dennis Schroeder, who's not on the team, without Jakob Poeltl, no OG Anunoby, no Pascal Siakam, no Scotty Barnes, and no Thaddeus Young. They're actually only scoring 104.6 points per 100 possessions. They're minus 8.4 in this in point differential in this spot as well. So Toronto team total under number was 111.5 last night at a minus 130. And I probably should have just got in there because I think it's down to 109 now. Pels 4-1 to the under in their last 5 road games. Favorites, they have held 3 straight opponents under their team total. They're 3-0 straight up and against the spread with 3 days of rest this season or more. And but all 3 of those games did come at home. I think the Pels should be able to get whatever it is that they want. They're a really good mid-range shooting team. I think they can mid-range this Toronto Raptors team to death, where they're 9th in frequency. Toronto actually bottom 5 in opponent accuracy from the mid-range shot post All-Star break. So also Toronto won't have any advantage on the glass, and they've been a very good offensive rebounding team. But without Jakob Poeltl in there, they could really struggle against Valanciunas and Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. So Toronto, and you listen to the Pelicans, interviews. I went back and did some listening, some reading, and they kind of focused on the defense right now. Herb Jones, Jose Alvarado. We know that they have some really good defenders on this team. So Toronto likes to push the pace. They actually, as long as the Pelicans can limit that, I do think Toronto really struggles to score in this spot. And that team total under, even though I would get the worst of the number now because it's down from the 111.5 to the 109. I do think that's the best play in this game. Just kind of staying away from the spread in this one. So those are my thoughts there. Not touching the spread. Next game up, the Atlanta Hawks. The really terrible Atlanta Hawks. This team has been god awful recently. I don't really have too many notes on this one. The Atlanta Hawks will be in New York, where they have been for the past few days, because they just came off getting smoked twice against the Brooklyn Nets, even though they were in a favorable bounce back spot in that last one. Now they get a beat up New York Knicks team. This line actually opened at 4. It's down to 2.5. So money coming in on Atlanta in this spot. Total drop total drop from 217.5 down to 216.5 that you guys see. And I guess I agree with the under here. I guess kind of sort of. Atlanta is not. I'm not sure who this Atlanta team is, so I'm not going to take too much time on this game. They were at home, and They looked really, really good against the Orlando Magic. They smoked the Orlando Magic. And then they were at home and they looked really good against the Utah Jazz. And they smoked the Utah Jazz, won both of those games by 17-27. Then they go on the road and we took them in that first game against the Nets. They lose by 27 points. They come back, get a 1 day's rest, 2 days rest, and 1 day's rest, and they lose again by 12. This Knicks team is not a team that's going to just roll over. We saw that the other day when they went to Cleveland, shorthanded. Jalen Brunson, of course, listed as questionable in this game. I'm not sure if he's going to play. I actually think that Jalen Brunson doesn't play, and you get a much better number with Atlanta, even though I probably would still take the Hawks in that spot. I know that and this is the super injury depleted game because it's no Onyeka Okongwu, it's no Trae Young for the Atlanta Hawks. I'm just not willing to bet on this Atlanta Hawks team. I think that if the Nets can beat you, the Knicks can definitely beat you. And I don't think it really matters who they have out there. Like, I think, Jalen Brunson plays. Of course, this line is going to get stronger and it'll probably go back to the 4. But, if he doesn't play, I still think the Knicks are, I don't know, man. It's just something about this Atlanta Hawks team. They don't play enough defense for me. Their shots are not falling. They're not doing anything else. But they're really Jekyll and Hyde team where they can get hot from 3, where the Knicks have been kind of struggling from, and be able to, score the basketball and put up enough points to potentially keep this one close. So this is a game that I'm not super interested in betting. The Hawks are just 2-3 straight up and against the spread since the All-Star break. And the Knicks, we know that they've been god awful. The Knicks are 2-4 against the spread since the All-Star break. That last win that they got against the Cleveland Cavaliers was much needed. They were 0-4 against the spread. They are 6-0 to the under. So they are playing really, really good defense. Maybe you just look at a Hawks team total under. Maybe that's the best play in this one. I can see the Hawks, struggling to score, especially if there's no Brunson out there. So maybe that's the best play. Like I said, not a game that I'm super interested in betting. Maybe I'll look a little deeper into it, but definitely want to know the status of Jalen Brunson before placing your bets in this one. Atlanta Hawks team total 107.5 on FanDuel right now. Maybe that's something I'll write down and look a little further into, because I think they could, really struggle to score. The Knicks, whether they're playing, have their offensive guys or not, they are doing a really good job of limiting their opponents. Just allowing just 103.8 points per game in their last 3 games. They held Cleveland to 98. 107 points in their last 3 games. So maybe just an under, team total under, something like that. That's the way I would be looking to play this one. But not a game I'm super interested in betting. Definitely wait on the status of Jalen Brunson. Pistons in the Heat. Pistons on the road getting 11.5 now. This number has skyrocketed. I want to say this opened at 10. I think when I wrote it down last night, I think this line was at 10 last night. Let me just double check. No, it was at 11. And now you see money coming in on Miami in this spot. It's up to 11.5. Total drop 5 points from 222 down to 217. This total to me screams a tad bit too low. I know both of these teams have really, really struggled to score the basketball recently. I was looking into this one, and both of these teams have been trending towards the under. Detroit, they are, what is Detroit? Detroit 9-1 to the under in their last 10 games. They've actually gone under in 9 straight. And you look at this Miami Heat team, they're 9-1 against the spread, but this is a super big number. And they're also 7-3 to the under in their last 10 games. This Heat team, a team that has not done that well as a home favorite, especially laying these big numbers. This will be the first time they've only been a home favorite one time this season of double digits. And in that game, the Heat actually did not cover. That was a game against the Memphis Grizzlies, and they won that game. They were laying 11.5 in that spot, and they won that game by 9. And Detroit is going to be feisty. I know they haven't been covering recently, but we remember back to the first game of the season, opening night, these two teams played. And Miami actually only beat Detroit. They were laying 9.5 points in that spot. They only beat Detroit by 1 point. And Cade Cunningham almost hit the game winner, if you guys remember. Detroit have actually covered 7 of the last 9 spreads as well. 7-2-1 against the spread. I just feel like this number is a tad bit too high. I don't know if Miami's going to be that focused in this game. Injury-wise, it looks like Detroit's going to have everybody outside of Quentin Grimes be listed as doubtful. Whereas on the Miami side, Tyler Herro's already been rolled out. Of course, there's no Josh Richardson, and Kevin Love is listed as out in this game as well. So I think this is a game where, it's a tad bit too many points for Detroit. They have not done well covering spreads over their last few games. I know that they just we took them on Friday against Cleveland. They got smoked in that game, was able to score. And then we also backed them. Well, I did not back them. Definitely didn't back them in the game against the Orlando Magic. And they were, they really, really failed to score in that game as well. So real quick, let me just look at them as road dogs of 10 points or more. I just want to check this real quick. 10-8 they are against the numbers. So 55.6%. Like I said, they did fail to cover against the Magic. They also they covered against the Bulls. We were on them in that spot as well, and they did cover against the Knicks. So these games have been trending towards the under. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight unders when they've been road dogs of 10 points or more. It's a difficult game, but I just don't think when teams are laying this big of a number, to me it screams that they're going to be extremely motivated and come in here and really play well. Like I told you guys, Detroit has covered 7 of the last 9 spreads against this Miami Heat team. So with a clear injury report, I think they just got Sasser back as well. Miami can struggle against teams kind of making 3-pointers. We saw that in the Utah game where they were laying a big number and were unable to cover in that spot as well. So Miami will win the game, in my opinion. I just don't think that they'll win it by. I don't know if they win by double digits. So Detroit plus the 11.5 would be the only way that I would play that one. Not sure what happened to my picture in this one, but we got the Philadelphia 76ers, and this should be a picture of the Brooklyn Nets. Maybe the universe know that I don't want to see the Brooklyn Nets because this is one of the games. This is actually my top play of the day right here. So 76ers and the Philadelphia 76ers will be in Brooklyn playing against this Nets team tonight. And this was a game that I handicapped last night while the Brooklyn Nets were playing against the Memphis Grizzlies. And the first thing that jumped out to me was actually Philly was actually getting a 1.5 on BetMGM had Philly plus 1.5 at a minus 115 last night. And before I could finish capping the game, the number had already changed. And I went ahead and took Philly on the money line in this spot. It's a ton of different reasons. And, could Brooklyn have been looking ahead because this is playoff revenge? Absolutely. That's possible. But Philly has owned this team, and I don't like the rest spot here for this Brooklyn Nets team. Now, granted, they will be at home. They've been at home for some time now. Both of the games against Atlanta was at home. Then they had the game against Memphis at home as well. But Philly, they've dominated this matchup. 9-1 straight up, 7-2-1 against the spread in their last 10 games as far as head-to-head goes with Brooklyn. Brooklyn did beat them on February 3rd in Philly, so that's even more motivation for this Philadelphia 76ers team. Philly, first leg of a back-to-back, but they play Memphis tomorrow, so probably not looking too far ahead in that category. For Brooklyn, second leg of a back-to-back, of course, but it's also a third game in 4 nights, fourth game in 6 nights as well. Tyrese Maxey did fall on his head in that Sunday game against the Dallas Mavericks, but he's not on the injury report. Ben Simmons, who knows? This dude just plays when he wants to, it feels like. He has missed the last 2 or 3 games. He could potentially return for this game. I don't care. Cam Thomas, who knows if he's going to play? He's missed the last 3 or 4 games as well. One of the things I looked at was Brooklyn. Second leg of a back-to-back. They're 2-7 straight up. 2-6-1 against the spread when they're playing on 0 days rest. 0-5 straight up and against the spread when they're unrested in their last 5 specifically. Brooklyn's also just 3-3 straight up and against the spread in their last 6 since the All-Star break. And one of the things I looked at, because Brooklyn has, like I said, they have won 3 of the 6 games, so they've been about a 50% team. But they played Toronto, lost. Minnesota, lost. They beat Memphis. Memphis is not really trying to win basketball games, in my opinion. They lost to Orlando. And they beat Atlanta twice. So I don't know how much credit I want to give them for the wins. They beat a Memphis team and an Atlanta Hawk team that has historically struggled playing in Brooklyn. None of those wins are against playoff caliber teams. And the losses to Minnesota and Orlando. This Philly team been playing a little bit better recently. So I think especially with them going into to Dallas and getting that win the other day. Of course, you're going to need Tobias Harris to continue to play well. I don't think that they have anyone that's going to really be able to slow down Maxey. So as long as they don't get dominated on the boards, and we did see Mikal Bridges kind of take a little hit yesterday. If you was watching that game, same thing with Lonnie Walker. He both of those guys returned, but they could be a little knocked up, especially being, like I said, third game in 4, fourth game in 6. Brooklyn ranks 26th in offense, points scored per 100 possessions, 20th in turnover percentage, so they're turning the ball over a lot, 30th in free throw rate, not getting to the free throw line at all. All of this is after the All-Star break. Philly, they've been a little bit better defensively, allowing just 112 points per game post All-Star break. And we know Brooklyn can really struggle to score. They struggled to score against Memphis last night. And they've actually been held under their team total. I'm sorry, the Philadelphia 76ers have actually held 5 of their last 6 opponents under their team total. So Philly kind of feel like they're, they understand nobody's really going to feel sorry for them because they don't have Joel Embiid. I think that they can keep it going today. Like the rest advantage spot. And like I said, I'm looking to fade Brooklyn. I just think that, and this number, of course, has moved to 2.5, but I think the 2.5 is still good as well. I think Philly wins the game by multiple possessions today. So I would still play the 2.5 for the people that are going to ask me that question. But like I said, I took them on the money line. Minus 110 last night. As I say that, this line is moving to 3 to 3.5. So yeah, I think, like I said, I think it's still good money. The 2.5, if you guys are interested. My top play on the board. It's a bunch of games on the board. It's not a lot that I like. Philly is the top play, top spot for Philly today. I need Philly on the money line. So we'll keep it pushing. But yeah, I like Philly a lot. Next game up, we got the San Antonio Spurs. They will be in Houston taking on the Rockets today. This isn't a game that I'm super interested in betting either. San Antonio has looked really, really good, but I'm the opposite. If there's a San Antonio whisperer, I'm the opposite. Every time I think San Antonio is going to play well, they play terrible. Every time I think that they're going to play terrible, they play well. So I have no idea. And the other thing that really talked me off of this game is you got to wait on the status of Victor Wembanyama. He was listed as questionable. This line actually opened at 6 last night, is what I wrote it down at. The total was at 228. You see it go up just a tad bit. Victor Wembanyama is listed as questionable with a shoulder injury. We know that, Coach Popovich is probably going to play with us all throughout the day with the injury report. No idea what's going to happen in this game. But what I did look at is Victor. If no Victor Wembanyama, I think you take Houston. It doesn't really matter what the spread is. I can't trust this team without him on the floor. He's of course been hooping, trying to secure that Rookie of the Year. And without Victor Wembanyama on the floor this season, the San Antonio Spurs are minus 12.1 in point differential. They're a 112 in offensive rating without Victor Wembanyama. Defensive rating is probably the worst in the league, 124.6 without Victor Wembanyama on the floor. And that's why I think you see the spread move from 6 to 7.5. Granted, I can't take it because if he's in, can Houston cover this game? Potentially. Houston's another team. They got a really big win against Phoenix the other day. They have the rest advantage spot, the rest advantage in this spot, but it's also a first leg of a back-to-back, I think, for the Houston Rockets as well. Real quick, let me just double check that. I don't want to tell y'all nothing. Nothing that's not accurate. I think this is the first leg of a back-to-back. I think Houston doesn't have the back-to-back and San Antonio does. Let me just double check that real quick. Something that I didn't write down. San Antonio plays Sacramento on Thursday in Sacramento. Houston actually plays the Clippers tomorrow. So if Victor Wembanyama doesn't play, we know Houston has been balling specifically at home. And this is a game I'll probably look towards the under as well. San Antonio 6-3-1 to the under in their last 10. Defense held the Pacers to 105 points if Victor Wembanyama plays. And they actually held OKC to 118 as well. They won 2 games in a row, covered 5 of their last 6 as well. But you definitely need Victor Wembanyama on the floor. The Houston Rockets 7-2-1 to the under in their last 10 games. They've actually gone under in 3 straight, and they had a push against OKC. So the defense has been playing a little bit better. Held Phoenix to 109 points, 110 points, and held OKC to 112 points as well. So this is the spot where it feels like they're getting a little healthy, trying to make a push for that 10th seed. I don't think that they're going to get it because they're currently in 12th, but they're still going to play hard. They embody the personality of Coach Ime Udoka, and I think that they will continue to play hard. But like I said, you definitely want to know the status of Victor Wembanyama if you're playing this game. 2 more games, I think it is. And the next one is the Indiana Pacers and the Dallas Mavericks. A game I have no idea what's going to happen in. This Pacers team, not been playing really good basketball as of late. You also want to make sure you know the injury status in this game as well, because there are a couple really key factors in my opinion. Pacers 4-6 against the spread in their last 10, 5-5. They've been an average team. Same thing with the Dallas Mavericks, 6-4 in their last 10, but they're 6-4 against the spread. Dallas is not a good ATS team at home, just 14-18 at the crib. The Pacers, like I said, both of these teams has really been struggling, man. The Pacers, of course, just they beat this Dallas Mavericks team down. They beat them 133-125 on February the 25th. So a couple games after the All-Star break, beat the brakes off of them. That total did open to 252. Of course, it flew under the total, only 244 points being scored. And now you see this one open up a little bit lower. So if you know that's a play towards the under. However, these teams, specifically the Dallas Mavericks, is not playing enough defense. I know that the Pacers are going to get it together offensively eventually. The Pacers just scored, I think they shot 20% from the three-point line and scored 105 points to the San Antonio Spurs. Unacceptable. Against the Pelicans, after they had beat the Pelicans and scored 123 points, they scored 102 points in New Orleans. So just 207 points in their last two games is one of the reasons why they're 8-2 to the under in their last 10 as well. And this Dallas Mavericks team, you talk about giving it up. These were the two teams that I put in the money line parlay on Sunday, and they both lost. Dallas lost as a 7.5 point favorite, home favorite, and the Indiana Pacers lost as a 6.5 point road favorite. So I have no idea what's going to happen in this game. I think that the practice time for Dallas, I talked about this on Sunday, should motivate them. But the Pacers have been playing well on the road as well. Pacers do have a big game coming up as well. I think it's important to mention they'll be back home after this game and take on the Minnesota Timberwolves on Thursday. The Dallas Mavericks. This is why I couldn't trust Dallas laying the points here. And could Dallas get the job done? They absolutely can. But to me, with both defenses playing so bad, I really want to take the team that's catching the points. That's how I kind of feel in this one. Dallas gave up 120 to Philly, which is absolutely crazy. 138 to Boston, 125 to Toronto, 121 to Cleveland, 133 to Indiana. This is just not a team right now. Since they went on that 5-game win streak when they were at home and they beat Philly, they beat Phoenix, beat San Antonio, beat Washington, beat OKC, and beat all four of those teams. They just not look like themselves. Just 2-3 against the spread in their last 3 games. And I do think that, they also got another home game coming up on Thursday against the Miami Heat. So this is a difficult game for me to kind of handicap. Like I said, because Dallas defense has been playing so bad, this could be a spot where you just kind of look for the team that's catching the points. You don't want to lay points with the Pacers on the road, but maybe you take them. They do have, and I was going to the injury report, Nesmith listed as questionable with a quad injury. Ben Shepherd, who's missed the last couple games as well. He's a pretty good defender, feisty type player. He's listed questionable with an illness. He's missed the last couple games. They could get Doug McDermott back as well. He's questionable with a calf injury. I know he missed the last game as well. And then on the Dallas side, Derrick Jones Jr. is listed as questionable. You also got Luka listed as questionable with the ankle injury and Maxi Kleber. So really, really difficult game to handicap, in my opinion. I'm stay on the sideline in this one, but I'll be taking the points, I think, with the Pacers in this spot. I think that they turn it around, even if the Dallas Mavericks do as well. It does seem like a game that they should be able to kind of keep close. All right, last game on the board. The Phoenix Suns will be in Denver tonight, taking on this Denver Nuggets team that's been absolutely on fire. Denver is probably the hottest team in the league right now, outside of the Boston Celtics. I think that's a fact, right? Yeah. Let's see. Denver is 5-1 against the spread. 6-0 straight up in their last 6 games. The game that they didn't cover was by 0.5 point against the Miami Heat. Average margin of victory is 15 points since the All-Star break. I mean, this team is turned up right now. They're really, really turned up. Whereas the Phoenix Suns, not so much. They'll be without Devin Booker. And the reason why this line actually opened at 7.5 last night is what I had written down. The reason why the line moved so much is because Nurkic is listed as questionable. And you're already without Devin Booker. And Phoenix, they really were playing with their food the other day against the Houston Rockets, and it bit them in the butt because you lose the game to the Rockets. We were on the Oklahoma City Thunder in that next game, and they lose that game, of course, as well. Now you got to go on the road, and the schedule doesn't get any easier. They got the Suns. The Suns' schedule does not get any easier. They actually have. I was looking at this earlier, real quick. Let me get to it. The Suns actually play. So they got this game against the Nuggets. Then they go back home and play the Raptors. But then you got the Celtics, you got the Cavs, and the Celtics. So not an easy schedule at all. They're kind of crumbling right now. They're 6-0 to the under in their last 6 games. Offense has just really failed to score the basketball, only averaging 112 points per game. They've actually gone under their team total in 3, 4, 5 of their last 6 games as well. And they're going to struggle guarding this Denver Nuggets team. Denver should have a healthy roster. I know KCP missed that last game. Jamal Murray had a couple days of rest as well. And Denver has the major rest advantage. This is a 4th game in 6 nights for the Phoenix Suns also, whereas for Denver, I think it's only a 3rd game in like 6 nights. So this is this is like a 2nd game in like 5 nights for this Denver Nuggets team. This should be a spot where I know Denver hasn't been covering home games. I know it's playoff revenge for the Phoenix Suns. You definitely want to wait on the status of Nurkic, because without him on the floor, I looked at without Devin Booker and Nurkic on the floor, Phoenix is actually a minus 12.8 in points scored per 100 possessions, getting outscored by almost 13 points per game without Devin Booker and Nurkic on the floor. And like I said, Nurkic is questionable, but Devin Booker didn't even make the trip. He will not be in Denver tonight. And in Denver, like I said, this is a well-oiled machine right now. Not a team you necessarily want to fade. Versus like 5-1 against the spread, the Denver Nuggets. Phoenix 1-5 against the spread, losing by average of 3 points. This will be the biggest dog that they've been in quite a while. And if you wanted to get the number, I do think you probably want to get the 7.5. I'm not interested because I want to see what happens with Nurkic. If Nurkic doesn't play, maybe you look at Denver first half. Drew Eubanks will not be able to stay in front of Jokic, in my opinion, in this game. And I think that they're really going to struggle without Nurkic on the floor if he doesn't play. So we'll see how it goes. But this is a game I wanted to wait on the total in this one too, because without Nurkic, I think it's Denver team total over. Because they really have no rim protection at all. I think you'll be able to get whatever it is that you want. Listen to the post-game interviews. And of course, Bradley Beal is saying that, Coach David Fizdale is, kind of got in their ear about how bad their defense was. But I mean, OKC is a top 5 offensive rated team. This Denver Nuggets team, when they put their minds to it, can also be a top 5, offensive rated team. So this is a game where, to me, even with the playoff revenge, I'll probably be looking towards Denver, but definitely want to wait on the status of Nurkic, because I think that is, extremely important. Not looking to fade this Denver Nuggets team. But I do think the best of the line is gone. They're averaging 120 points, since the All-Star break, only giving up 105. So that's what I got for you guys in this one. And the top look on the board, like I said, Philly money line. Also considering this team total under for the Toronto Raptors. Like I said, we are getting a short end of the number because it was 111.5 earlier. And Detroit, I do think that Miami is laying too many points. I'm not sure if they'll want to win this game by 15, 16 points. I think Detroit could be scrappy in this one. Granted, they haven't been covering the number, but full roster. I think Detroit can keep this one close. I'll be looking at Detroit plus the points. Toronto team total under 109.5. The only thing I played, like I said, Philly money line minus 110. Like I said, their line is moving to 3. There is still some 2.5s out there, but I jump on that before it gets worse, and that total is dropping too. It opened at 220 last night. It's down to 216.5. I agree with the movement there, just because Brooklyn, I do expect them to struggle to score in this spot as well. So as always, like I said, I'll go through the comments offline because my back is killing me. Resources that I use to kind of handicap the games, all listed right here if you guys are interested. And last but not least, man, y'all hit the like button for me if you can. Like I said, I popped my sacrum out of place yesterday. Back is killing me today. First time I sit down since I did it. Got to pop back in place, but show some appreciation, man, for the show if you can. Like the show, share the show if you guys can. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Best of luck on all your action. Enjoy the games tonight as always, and bet responsibly as well. I'll catch you guys. Not sure if I'm gonna do a 5 o'clock show. Maybe not. If we get a bunch of injury news, maybe I will, but we'll see how it goes, man. But best of luck on all your action today. I'll catch you guys in the next one, man. I'm out.